SpongeBob my ass.
I'm on my floor. Bonjour, Monsieur Pussycat.
Cracking toast, Robert.
Start spreading the news.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a short podcast about short films. I am your host, and we are discussing the Academy Award for Best Animated Short. Today's episode is about the 43rd year of the award at the 47th Academy Awards, which celebrates the films of 1974. Today's guest is a very good friend of mine and a former Minecraft streamer. Please welcome Rory.
No.
Hello, Rory.
Hi. That's not the introduction I was hoping for, but I'll take it. Hi. Yes, I'm Rory. I've known them for a while, so I'm very, very happy to be invited on this podcast. Increasingly less happy as time goes on, but you know.
I just wanted to throw that little tidbit in, just for fun.
I'm sure you really wanted to. I'm sure you did,
and I'm very happy that I did. But yes, thank you for coming on. I'm very happy to have you on. And tell us, what is your familiarity with the Best Animated Short category before we get into everything?
To be truthful, I didn't know I was watching the Best Animated Film category. I was given a list of short films to watch, and I went, bet. So this is the first I'm hearing about this. So that'll sum up pretty accurately my familiarity with the categories, is that I had no clue what I was talking about. I saw Winnie the Pooh and I was like, bet, easy money, I can do that. And Tigger too, apparently. God.
Oh yeah.
So,
for the listeners out there, it's just like I thought Rory was aware of this. I didn't realize that they didn't know that this was about the Best Animated Short category until seconds before I started that introduction. And I was just like, okay. That's sure going to change our discussion here.
It definitely is, because I have some questions about why these films.
Oh,
there's a lot in there.
Oh, but yeah, that is a frequent question to be sure. Like, why does the Academy nominate such things? But both for good reasons and for bad reasons.
Beyond human comprehension.
But yeah, on that note, let's just get into these nominees. This year has 5, and this is the first time we've had a full 5 nominees since 1963, and it won't happen again until 1992, because this year the Academy just randomly decided to require 5 nominees rather than having it range from 3 to 5. But anyway, our first nominee and the year's winner is Closed Mondays, directed by Bob Gardner and Will Vinton. This is the first nomination and win for both Gardner and Vinton. However, this will be the only nomination for Gardner, while we will see Vinton's name multiple times over the next decade. This is the second nominee we've seen using clay to make stop-motion animation, called claymation, after Eli Noyes' Clay or the Origin of Species. And that term, claymation, was coined by the co-director of Closed Mondays, Will Vinton. However, Gardner preferred the term sculptimation, and personally, I do think claymation is a better term. It rolls up the tongue better. But this is not the only thing the two men disagreed on. They met at UC Berkeley and began working on short films using clay, and the two had thought they had invented the practice, which they did not. Will Vinton had the camera, and allegedly Gardner was the main creative force behind the films, including their eventual Oscar win. The two men had a falling out while working on their follow-up to Closed Mondays, called Mountain Music, which Vinton finished and left Gardner uncredited. They each followed their own creative pursuits after that, with Gardner moving to other artistic mediums, while Vinton used many of the techniques developed by Gardner to make more films solo and launch his own animation studio, Will Vinton Productions. I'll talk more about Vinton on his later nominations, but as he became incredibly successful in the animation world, Gardner grew resentful of him, using his ideas for his own success while Gardner was left floundering. Gardner kept going from job to job, project to project, never having much money to his name due to poor financial management, as well as just being kind of generous, always wanting to give money to his friends and family. And then sadly in 2005, Bob Gardner took his own life at the age of 54, and may he rest in peace. I did not expect this episode to begin so sadly, but this show is about providing context and educating people on animation history. And Bob Gardner's place in the history of animation is often forgotten or overlooked in favor of just Will Vinton. So it's important to shine a light on his name. So let us go into Close Mondays with a new appreciation for this man. And Close Mondays features a drunk man wandering into an art museum after it has closed, and he hallucinates the different artworks coming to life. Rory, what did you think of Closed Mondays?
So I may have fucked up a bit. Just a little bit. For some reason, when I was looking at this list, I saw the yellow and my brain associated it with it's just like a title thing. I didn't watch Closed Mondays.
Oh my god, Rory.
I am so sorry. We can take a quick 8 minutes and I can watch it real quick. I don't know how long did we have the recording for.
I'm not sure how I should continue here, like because we are currently recording, and
let me take a quick 8 minutes and watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we will.
I don't know how that's gonna work.
I guess we'll just stop.
Edit it out.
Yeah. We can actually just keep recording, and then I will just edit this part
out.
out.
Get a live reaction.
And we're back. Rory has now finished Closed Mondays, and so Rory, what do you think?
Okay, the first thing I noticed was that this bitch kind of looks like the old man from Monster House. Have you seen that?
I have seen Monster House, and I do know.
Yeah, you know the old man.
I see the vision.
Looks identical. Yeah, you see the vision, right? Okay. Second, should I start from like the beginning of my notes, or should I immediately jump to the big what the fuck moment?
Just go with how you just what makes the best story for you. Like how do you think this should be told? Go with the flow.
That's a great question. So I'm just going to dive straight into it and start word vomiting all my thoughts all at once because this is very fresh on the minds.
Go ahead.
So we got this old bitch, right? Again, I think I said this out loud while I was talking, but this first off, this scenario just seems like something that I would end up doing in my lifetime. Take that however you want, but I don't trust myself to behave like a normal citizen. Granted, I've never been so drunk that I started hallucinating. So I think that's interesting. I think it's dope. And I like what the claymation was able to like add to that particular story beat. So all the hallucinations, I really like the machine, right?
Yeah, that was my favorite
the one with the big mouth, and you had to put level up.
The way
that was dope, and all of it
and everything
molding together, and especially and all the colors, right? All the colors mixing together like actual. I was like, that's cool. That's cool. Again, my first thought was to stick your dick in it to make it work.
I was going to mention that if you didn't.
Yeah. So thank you for putting me on blast if I wasn't going to do it myself. But yeah, I think it's wild that this man was so wildly unfazed by all the things happening to him. Like, I feel like drunk me, if I started hallucinating, I'd be fucking through it. And I've been pretty drunk before. What the fuck happened at the end? He turned into a statue. Was he always a statue? Or was he like... Did he die?
So I think...
Were we the drunk... No.
were we the drunk men all along?
Well, that's what I was saying, is that there was a point where we were looking through a first person's perspective. Maybe we were hallucinating this entire time, including the old man who was a statue.
I mean, that is an interesting theory. Especially since like all the times that we see like we are hallucinations, it's from a first person perspective, but also actually there's one time, the one with the zoo painting, like we are watching the old man and the hallucination happen at the same time.
Exactly.
But what I'm thinking, like I do like that interpretation, but also my thought was just that like, oh, the hallucinations were actually real, as this like this museum is actually like it's a night at the museum, and then he just got captured by the art museum because he wandered in while it was closed. It's just like a curse. It's like all the paintings there are cursed items. Other people who wander into the museum at
This
night.
is some MC-itis, all right? All right, this is some MC-itis. We're looking at a grander story here. I need a multiverse right now.
Oh no.
I need a spin-off movie. I need something else. I need to be able to understand what the hell just happened. I don't process art. I need to be spoon-fed it. All right.
You need
You
a
know exactly my movie style.
you need a 20
I need
minute long close
clarification.
Mondays ending explained video.
Exactly. I need a post-credit scene. I stayed and there wasn't one. I was thoroughly disappointed. They're not setting up this expanded universe at all. And honestly, it's a horrible business market. I don't know how this won Best Picture without a fucking end credit scene, okay?
Uh
Those are my thoughts.
I just want to say, you bring up end credit scene did remind me of another a previous winner in this category called The Box, where it's just like the short is just like, you know, this weird guy, he brings a box into this bar, and it's just like it, and he opens it. There's some creature inside that like scares some people, and then it's just like it's very vague as to what it is. It's like eventually he falls in love with another person with a box, and they leave together, and then that's it. But then it's just like as the credits go on, and once you stay to the end of the credits, it shows Noah's Ark, and that's meant to be the explanation for the whole thing. This is Noah. The box is like a creature that he's bringing onto his ark, and then like the lady is like, you know, his pair and the pair for the creature and all that, and then that's
Well,
that's
biblically
that's part of the joke.
actually. If anyone knew anything about religion and all that, they would know that Noah had a family. Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean, come on, get your art right.
He was, yeah, he had a family already. But anyway, it's just like that's the joke of the piece. It's just like that's just what my mind went to when you brought up post-credit scenes in animated shorts.
Exactly. Finally,
but,
someone gets it. You see the vision, okay?
But yeah, I I'm not sure what I think about this one, because on one hand, I did like the animation. I like claymation in general. I think it is a really it the best parts of stop motion when it's a little bit creepy. And claymation is one of the best terms of that, because of the way like the models always just kind of like mold along as they are moved, because you know, like the hands keep touching them and whatever, putting the fingerprints in them, and so it's just like they always move so weirdly, and that's like a benefit to it. But on the other hand, uh this is kind of just like uh I'm a person who likes stories, and this doesn't have stories. Like, it's just a guy looking at different paintings and being like, "Wow, that's weird," and moving on to the next one. And one time there's a robot that has its own thing, and then eventually he gets stuck as a statue. And it's just like I enjoy watching the different hallucinations, but I think it just spends too long on the old man himself, and it just I feel like it would be better if it like the hallucinations ramped up and then they like kind of invaded the museum space too. And just like I feel like there was more that it could have like built more, instead of just kind of feels stagnant and separated, and just like hallucination, okay, move on to the next hallucination, and then we move on to the next hallucination, and then it's just kind of I feel like it could have been more, and just a little bit disappointing, a little bit boring, but I still enjoyed it. I still like looking at it. But it's not my favorite winner in this category.
I see. I think the plot twist saved it for me.
Oh yeah, it is a good punchline at the end where he gets frozen, and I'm finding more and more that, especially if the winners, it's just like they just need a good punchline, and then that gets them the win. It's just like, and if you look at these other short films, it's like thinking back to them, I don't think any of these have a particularly good punchline at the end of them. So it's just like this is the only one with a good punchline, and therefore it must win. And I guess with short films especially, it's just like as long as you can nail that ending, that's pretty much the whole film. in terms of the people who watch it, in terms of the Academy members or whatever. It's so
now I know exactly what I think should have won. but we can get to that
Yeah,
when we get there.
we will get to that at the end. Did you remember to make a ranking of the nominees?
I was supposed to do a ranking.
I did tell you that. I do remember specifically telling you that. It's okay. You could
Well, I can make it up on the spot because I know my ranking in my head.
Exactly. Like last episode, Bean didn't remember to make a ranking, so it's just like while I spent time talking about our last nominee, she made, and she only had three nominees anyway too, so it's very easy. But yeah, you in the next like hour or whatever we'll be talking, it's like you could make a rank of the 5 films. But yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, you have anything you'd like to? Any final thoughts you have on Closed Mondays? Or would you like to move on?
I liked I really liked the colors.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the colors were dope.
Good colors,
which is the least professional artist sounding way of putting it. But in the end, colors were dope, bro.
Mm-hmm.
All right, like that's how house shit goes.
It's like drinking
I
a wine.
I would look Bob.
It's like drinking a wine
Bob
and
Gardner and Will Vinton and
I
be
like grapes.
Shit slaps. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I like grapes. I think that's an excellent way to put it. I like grapes.
Yeah, Bob Gardner deserved better, and may he rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Our second nominee is The Family That Dwelt Apart, directed by Yvonne Mallett. This is the third and final nomination for producer Robert Verrill, and the first and only nomination for Mallett. This is also the 9th nomination for the National Film Board of Canada, still looking for its first win. Verrill, I've talked about enough on his other nominations, but there's also very little I can find about Von Mallett, to the point where I can't even be certain about their gender. Like, I know Yvonne is typically a masculine name in French, but their IMDb page lists a sole acting credit, and it's listed as actress rather than actor, which makes me think they might be female, or at least are listed as such in the IMDb metadata or whatever. And I also don't know when they've lived nor if they've died. And most I can tell is that they lived in Canada, and hence they worked for the NFB at least since the 1960s, and their latest credits are in the 90s. And for a while, I thought they were also an English teacher in Ontario, but that's just another person named Yvonne Mallett who happens to have a Wikipedia page, while this Yvonne Mallett doesn't. And I did watch Mallett's first film, Boomsville, in an attempt to learn something about them, but that's just a generic short film about the industrialization of Canada and tells me nothing. If anyone out there has more information on Yvonne Mallett, please let me know. But in any case, The Family That Dwelt Apart is based on a short story by E.B. White from his preposterous Parable series, and he also narrates the film and tells the story of the Pruitt family who lives on an island in Barnatuck Bay. The family is reclusive, rarely visiting the mainland, and are content subsisting entirely on what they have on the island. One winter, the lake freezes over and prevents any travel to the island. The Pruitts are unbothered, but once a mainlander remembers them, all hell breaks loose as the people of the mainland and their governments try their hardest to get the Pruitts, causing much carnage along the way. First off, this is dark. This is a dark comedic short film, and that is its main charm as well. Well, because it's like so many people.
It's just comedic.
Yeah, it's meant to be like a dark comedy.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah,
keep it going.
But yeah,
it's comments about that.
So many people die in this, and it's just like, because like so many people die like trying to get to the island, and then it's like the people that are trying to get to the Pruitts end up killing them at the end of it, and it's just like
it's a lot.
Yeah, and it's like part of me really wants to laugh at it because I could tell that it was meant to be comedic, but also it's like it's almost too dark that it's just like and also it's very dry in its humor too. Like it's very it doesn't want. I understand Rory's reaction, not realizing that it's meant to be like comedic because it doesn't like indicate it like clearly. It's just meant for you to.
There's no laugh track. I don't get it. It's just like I needed my Big Bang Theory laugh track to be able to consume this media properly. Without it, like how do I know when I'm supposed to laugh?
Yeah, Bean would have had a hard time with this episode. She loves Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, I said that, and immediately was like, Bean's gonna kill me for that comment.
If she listens, who knows if she will. Uh,
Yeah,
but, hi Bean, if you are listening. But anyway, um, but yeah, it's just like it doesn't indicate to you that it is going to be being comedic unless you like actually, really pay attention to it and be like, oh yeah, this is absurd. This is meant to be funny. Ha 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 ha. But I do like the story that it's telling. I think this is a very well written story. I enjoy it. And I also really like the animation style, which is trying to be very kind of 1930s style, very Fleischer-esque animation.
yeah,
It, uh, and it's like I do enjoy the short film as a whole. Well, and it's like I don't quite love it. Like I don't think it quite like went across that threshold, but I think it's just very it's an it's an interesting short film, and I'm very glad that it was nominated, and I'm glad I watched it.
yeah. I I'm confused. Why the fuck were there elves in the beginning that were never addressed?
I think that was just meant to be a joke about like because I remember that it's like when they were talking about all the food that they have. I think it's
Yeah,
just meant to add a little bit of whimsy to it because I think that is part of the setup to it being like comedic and like the whole style itself, because it's like, oh, it's these people who live this fantastical little isolated life and this little island in the middle of the bay. And it's like, oh, look how cute they are. It's like they have such a humble little life, and then everybody fucking dies trying to get to them. It's meant to be a little bit of contrast in there.
I guess. That one threw me off. I was like, oh, there's elves in the beginning, and then I realized looking at my notes that they never brought up the elves again. I was like, the fuck. But say la vie. We ball anyways. One thing I was confused about is that the house was jumping a lot, and then they showed the parents jumping on the bed like together. Were they fucking? Or was that just like a weird artistic choice to
I
mimic
think
the
it
30s cartoon style?
I think it wanted you to assume they were fucking. That it
Yeah.
zooms in and it shows that they're not, but it's just like that's what it's one of the jokes that they have. It's like, haha, you tricked me.
Oh, I guess. Okay. I never got that far. I never got that part particularly. But yeah, everyone
I
just
keep
started
having to
dying.
explain these movies to you.
Homie, you're the one who invited me on this podcast. You know
I'm glad.
exactly my level of comprehension when
I
it comes to art.
I I'm fine. I just think it's funny.
Oh no, it's hilarious. So yeah, why the fuck did they just operate on the baby randomly? Like they
So
just came in. They're like, doctors are just gonna operate on this baby. Oh, it died. I'm like, why? Why
keep
did it
explaining
have
the
to
plot to
be?
you. So
Well,
what happened
I
was
know.
Uh,
Okay,
so what happened was it's that they think that they get word that the oldest boy in this family or one of the boys in this family has appendicitis and needs to get their appendix taken out. So
sure.
there's this
They
first
figured
team
that
that
out
comes
though.
in, they take the eldest boy and take him out. And then then there's a team of doctors that comes in to do appendicitis at the house rather than take him to a hospital. Uh, and they don't see the oldest boy, they see the next oldest boy, and so they do appendicitis on the
Oh,
baby in there,
and fucking kill it.
and the baby dies from its like surgery or whatever.
Huh. Well, gotcha. Okay. So, okay. I can see where this is more comedic now that I'm processing it.
Yeah,
Um, how the fuck do you mistake acid for fucking alcohol?
I mean,
Like, I want to know the process because I know those bitches weren't like pouring cups and all doing shots at the same time. Like, they drank it when this tastes fine and then continued.
well, it's like they are drinking like homemade alcohol, so it's just like I don't know.
Acid and homemade alcohol are drastically different. I call cap. This is not realistic enough for my animated cartoons.
Nah, no. It's just how it ends. It's just they are in the little shed, they drink the acid, and they all die. The end. Oh, and then the son finds them, moves to the mainland. to live a
Yeah,
forever
which is also
unhappy
just because,
life.
like, imagine going back and be like, damn, fuck, my entire family gone. Rip.
Yeah, it's
Like,
just like
damn.
I have no life here anymore, so I must become one of the common rabble.
Well, fuck it, we ball. Say lovey.
Fuck it, we ball. That is the moral of this story.
I mean, honestly, that's what that kid did. He showed up with, like, damn, buried them and said, fuck it, we ball, and left. My respect through the roof.
He wasn't happy about it. So like,
Well, I didn't
I don't think
expect
"fuck
him
it,
to
we
be
ball" is
happy.
meant to be the emotion that it's just like he's very sad that his family has died. And it's just
He didn't
like
seem sad. He
he,
seemed like he had to do what he had to do.
yeah, like he was forced to do this by people meddling in his family's affairs.
Mm, mm, mm. I don't know. Shouldn't have lived in the middle of nowhere. Sounds like a them problem. Personally, if it was me, I would have just had access to the mainland like a fucking normal person.
They were
These goddamn
The whole
hippies.
point is that they were perfectly fine. They had no reason to access the
Hippies.
mainland. They were living
Hippies.
so happy on their own. And then
Hippies. I believe in government control.
oh my god. And I know you're joking now, but
This
still,
is a joke.
it is kind of pissing me off.
I know, I promise I'm joking. Um no, I do think it's funny that at the end they were just trying to chill and be normal.
Hmm. Yeah,
But yeah.
it's this is just a moral, a fable perhaps about a family who just wants to be them by themselves, who just wants to be left the fuck alone. These people are like, nah, fam, you gonna die.
hmm It's definitely an animated film that released in the year of 1974 and was nominated for an Oscar. Is it the one that should have won?
Maybe,
Probably
but we'll
not.
find out.
Yeah, we will indeed find out the ranking.
Have you finished your ranking yet?
In my head, yes, I know exactly how I'm gonna
Okay,
rank it.
okay. Uh, do you have any final thoughts on this?
What a fucking head trip.
Yeah,
Just
so
it
we
went downhill so fast. I was like, because I thought it was a children's thing, right? And then they went and they were like, "Oh, these guys died." I'm like, "That's a little dark for a children's thing." I guess it was a different time. And they were like, "Oh, but also the dogs died." I was like, "Bitch, is fucking far."
hmm
I would not show this to a kid.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it kind of plays on that how it's just like, oh, it's just like this is meant to be like look at this happy family, and it's like, oh, it's fun little children's movie, but then it's just like, nope,
Yeah.
shit's fucked up.
Apparently, it's narrated by the guy who wrote Stuart Little.
Yeah, that's E.B. White. He's the guy who wrote the story.
Yeah.
He also wrote Stuart
Fuck that
Little and
guy.
Charlotte's Web and other things.
Fuck that guy. I
Fuck
don't like
him.
him. Fuck him.
Okay, fuck E.B. White, I
Fuck him.
guess.
Fuck
Although
you.
like
Moral of
considering
my story.
the time he lived in, like he was popular in like the early 1900s. It's just like maybe he is kind of a bad person. I don't know for certain, but
Probably.
yeah,
He wrote Stuart Little, and that's enough for me. Okay. Listen, I can excuse racism and whatnot, but I draw the line at drawing a fucking adopted mouse. All right, that's bullshit.
Mhm.
Bullshit.
I haven't read Stuart Little nor have I seen the movie. Anyway,
Good. Good.
it's
Keep it
funny
that
that
way.
you called the family that dwelt apart a head trip. It's just like, wow, this really isn't meant for kids, because I think our third nominee, Hunger, delves even further into that category. Directed by Peter Folds. This is the first nomination for Folds and producer Renee Jodewin, I think, but only Jodewin has a later nomination. This is also 10th nomination for the National Film Board of Canada. And I think to best tell this story, we need to start with Nestor Burtnick. He had heard a Disney animator once talk about the process of animating, where one person draws the keyframes and then they hand it off to another animator who draws the in-between bits that show the motion from one keyframe to the next. And Burtnick thought, what if we get rid of that second animator and have the computer merge the keyframes together? Working at the National Research Council in Canada, he developed a program that was able to morph one image to the next, and NFE was contacted so that the animators could experiment with it. In comes Peter Folds, who was already a somewhat major name in animation. He learned the art of animation from fellow Hungarian John Hallas, and his biggest accomplishment was the 1956 short film of Short Vision, made with his wife Joan about the horrors of nuclear war. It was shown on the Ed Sullivan Show, sparking both outrage at its graphic nature and a higher interest in nuclear disarmament. Folds partnered with NFB to make a few short films with this new computer technology, eventually making 5 films with it, winning him a César Award and garnering 3 Cannes Film Festival nominations, with Hunger winning the jury prize for short films at the festival, as well as winning the BAFTA for Best Animated Film. With its Oscar nomination, Hunger becomes the first computer animated film nominated in this category over a decade before Pixar earns its first nomination. The film is about a businessman who develops an addiction to eating, slowly consuming more and more. Rory, what did you think of Hunger?
So, first off, it looked like it was generated by AI, which
Uh,
threw me off. Like,
well, it is a computer animated film. It's not AI made, but it's like
right.
I
It's
get where you're
like
coming from.
it's weird. And that is putting my own like modern take on it. I think AI art is shameless and bullshit, but this was creepy. The guy turned into a car. All right.
I can't say how much I love that shot of him just turning into the car. Like he walks into the middle
I
of the
had
street, like crouches down a little bit, and just widens.
my man was a transformer. All right. Listen, it took so much because I was watching this truthfully at my office, and I was there's people next to me and whatnot in different rooms. I had to hold back laughing so hard because of the sheer absurdity this showed me. Like they were like, boom, eating a lot. Hot waitress, boom, she's naked. Boom, he's eating the table. And what the fuck? Hold on. It's like so much happening all at once. He compacted the store, put it in his trunk. And he consumed like I feel like it is a commentary. I feel okay. So let me actually use my brain for once, right? I believe that this was like a commentary on probably like capitalism and over like the abundance and being able to like have everything at your fingertips all at once. All
Yeah.
right. Which is definitely to be said. Wild that it's 1974 and now look at where we are with phones and whatnot. So I mean, the guy was probably ahead of his time if that's the actual meaning of the story. That's how I kind of perceived it from like an intellectual level, from a turning my brain off and trying to figure out what the fuck I'm watching level. Um, what the fuck was I watching? It was very was avant-garde the right word?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
It's like it's a bit behind experimental, but it is like it's out there. It is avant-garde.
it's yeah, it's there were choices that were made. Again, I think it lended itself to like first you have this, I'm going to say handsome man, um,
Yeah, he's a
because
little
I
twink.
sure we'll go with he's a little twink. I was gonna say handsome. I was talking about because it's kind of hard to tell with the line art, but we'll say little twink to further hammer in that point. But we have this guy here who he starts relatively looking, and as he's consuming everything more, I think the whole point of it was that he was losing his identity and kind of morphing with everything he had control of. And eventually we just see him consuming, and I don't think it's taking the literal approach with just saying like, well, maybe you shouldn't eat everything in the world. Like maybe you should just not, you should diet, you should not indulge or something like that. I don't think that's what it was saying because I feel like that's too on the nose. It's probably just because he was able to have everything right there. I mean, he turned into a fucking car. That's the definition of having something right at your fingertips.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Um, that
yeah,
one sat with me a lot. It was very nightmarish.
yeah. This is really just this is probably the most interesting in terms of its conceit and its like animation and everything because it's like I don't even know how to explain this. Like I was having trouble even making like the basic like plot description in for like my little paragraph because it's like this is really first off, I didn't know what his job was. I couldn't tell. I thought maybe he was a therapist or something at one point, but I just decided
Uh-huh.
to say businessman. And then it's just like that he just kind of eats and eats. And that's the whole film until the ending, which we'll get to there eventually. But I want to just talk about the meat of the film first. And it's just like, and yeah, and it's like I agree with you. It's just like it's about capitalist greed and all that, and it's just like, and I think I I I think the whole like the way that people like morph into their objects. It's just like when he goes to the meat shop or whatever, or it's just like the man behind the counter is also the register. Or and it's just like
Yeah, yeah.
and it's just like at the ending or near the ending, it's just like his wife turns into pots and pans, and it's just like it's really weird. Or, and also, I just want to say, I wasn't sure if the guy was going to eat his wife. Uh, I thought like first I thought he was going to eat her like at the restaurant because she started out as like a waitress before like marrying him or
Yeah.
whatever. Her and she turned into an ice cream cone and he like licked her. And it's just like oh this is when he eats her, but he doesn't. They fall in love and like they
Yeah.
are shopping together or whatever.
Man, just gave good head, I guess. The basis for true love.
And then oh yeah he probably know how to eat that pussy. Oh but yeah but yeah, it never shows him like eating her at all. But she just disappears at one point. Like I said, she turns into pots and pans, and then like it morphs into him living by himself. Which I'm not sure if that means like she left him, or maybe he did eat her, and we just didn't really see that. But who knows? And then,
I
but
don't know.
yeah,
Maybe it's like the capitalistic pressure on women to do all
maybe.
the cooking. Like that's all he ever saw her for was just cooking.
Hmm. Yeah, and
Kind of lends into the greed of it all. I don't know.
yeah, it's just like she was nothing but her. Oh yeah, and it's like he falls in love with her because she's a waitress. She brought him
That's
the
a good
food.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like
That's actually I actually think that I think they
I
were
think
onto
we
something
just
right there.
we unlock something here. I'm proud of us.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, that's cool.
but yeah, and so eventually I what I'm thinking now is that she left him because he was just constantly eating all the time. He forgot to love her or whatever, and then so then we go into the ending where he's living by himself, and then like he gets into bed, and then it's just like he's just rolling around a bit. And then eventually he like falls through the floor into this void. And I imagine this is him like dying or whatever. And then he falls and falls and falls and lands in this void. And then he sees eyes all around him. They just start appearing. And then it was revealed that it's all these like hungry children or whatever. Or it's like this is what really kicks in, like the capitalistic greed thing, because it's like when one man has so much, there's so many who are left without. Then they eat him. The little kids just eat him, and that's how it ends.
Yeah,
It's
I forgot.
scary
I didn't
over.
even process that. Yeah. Like I don't know if it's little kids per se. I think it's like if we're taking it same from like the capitalistic standpoint, it could have been like a more on the nose allegory for like eating the rich, right? The simple saying.
Maybe it
Like,
did. They did look like small people. Like they did look like
yeah, they
children
were
to me.
definitely starving. Um, I don't know if they were children, but they were definitely starving. Um,
But yeah, they were very like very skinny. Very like you could see the
yeah.
bones and everything.
Yeah, I took it as something like again along the lines of like eating the rich,
Hmm.
um, in a more literal sense.
Hmm.
He'd spent all this time amassing all this greed and wealth and what or figurative wealth, I guess, that the people had been, starved from it. Decided to take it into their own hands,
Hmm. Yeah.
which I don't know, who knows?
But yeah, this was a really good short. Like I not only is it just like well, it is like a great I guess story, even though it's not really a story, but it's like it tells what it wants to tell, and it's just like I think it really does a great job using like this new form of animation, the way like things just like the lines just fly from one state to another, or it's just
Mhm.
like it uses this kind of awkward animation style well. And it's just like first of all like the way that like the guy can transform to the car and stuff, and it's like another scene I really liked is like Well, when he and his wife, they transform into their own car. First of all, there's another point where they both transform into the car, and their faces are still on the car as well. And then they go to the supermarket. I like the scene where it's just like you have the whole supermarket, and then all of it just scrunches down into a little cube, like except for like the supermarket has an indoor and an outdoor. Everything scrunches down into the outdoor and then goes from the outdoor into the car, leaving just the outdoor there. There's no rest of the supermarket. And it's like I really like that part of it. And it's just like it overall just does a really good job making use of this creepy animation style to really it's just really effective. And I'm very glad that this was nominated. I'm glad I watched it. Very good short film. A plus. Great job.
Yeah. Yeah, I would want to rewatch this on mushrooms.
Well, I'm glad I have shown it to you so you know to do that now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
any final thoughts you have to share about this?
Nope, I think those were my final thoughts, truthfully.
All right. So our fourth nominee is Voyage to Next, directed by Faith and John Hubley. This is the sixth nomination for Hubley and the fifth nomination for Faith, previously nominated for Men and Demons in 1969. Since then, the Hubleys and Storyboard Inc., now called Hubley Studios, uh, or the Hubley Studio, I should say, were having trouble staying funded and turned their eye towards making more commercial work, including, as every animator in the 1970s does, making segments for Sesame Street. At least 30 different segments from what I can find. The Hubleys also did some teaching at Yale and with their students made the film Cockabooty, another film where they animate over the ramblings of their daughters, Emily and Georgia. But as for the film we're here to talk about, Voyage Next stars Dizzy Gillespie and Maureen Stapleton as Father Time and Mother Earth, looking upon humanity and commenting on the divides between people. Uh, so just some context, I'm a big fan of the Hubleys. I have seen almost every film of theirs that I can find, and I'm a big fan of the work. I emphasize this now because I didn't really like this film. I
Really?
I just thought like like I mentioned that they are kind of struggling financially at this time, and it really shows to me. It's just like there's a lot of just like reused animation, and it's just like it just doesn't look as good as some of their other films do. And I feel bad saying it because it's like, but it's just that's just how it goes. And it's just like I did like the designs for Father Time and Mother Earth. I thought they looked very good. I like their whole world that they exist in as they look down upon humanity. And I like the little parable, I guess, for humanity where it's just like all the people live in this one box, but then they all have their own little boxes floating on the sea or whatever. Or
The
and
micronations and yada yada.
yeah, and it's just like it's like I like the setup for it, but it's just like I think uh the Hubblies are famous for their kind of improvised style where it's just like the the actors just kind of have a loose idea of what they're going to talk about and uh just kind of freeform their dialogue, improvise their dialogue. And it's just like I don't think it works totally for me here. I think it just kind of feels unfocused. As just like I just didn't really enjoy myself watching it. And it's just like I wish I liked this more because I love Dizzy Gillespie. I love his collaborations with the Hubblies. I love Maureen Stapleton, and I love the Hubblies, but it's just this one just didn't work for me. And I feel like I keep saying that with their Oscar nominations. It's just like because I didn't care much for Moonbird or of Men and Demons either, but it's just like uh, and it's like I love them. I love their films, but it's also just like these ones don't do much for me. It sucks, but that's just how it is. What about you,
Now,
Rory?
I know everyone is entitled to their own opinion. And you are definitely entitled to the wrong opinion, as you've
I,
shown here.
as I'm often am.
It's I this was I will say where I put it in the ranking when we do that, but I loved this one. It was so calming. It was so relaxed. I liked the very free form nature of it, and I didn't know that they were making it so improvised and whatnot. But I think it lended itself perfectly. I think the idea of Father Time and Mother Earth just chilling, going, "What the fuck is wrong with humanity?" And saying this in such a caring way is so sweet. Um, and it really, I think the overall message of it was still painstakingly true and a little haunting at the fact that they were heavily implying that maybe we fucked up too much by causing an innate culture of competition instead of sharing. Um, so yeah, it was a little daunting when you read down to the message, but at the same time, it was presented in such a calming, casual manner that I think you almost forget about it till you're thinking about it a little bit more, and I think that's fine. I think it works a lot here. I do like the animation. Again, they obviously reused some of it, but also I don't feel like it negated from it. I feel like it. I didn't even notice it until you brought it up. I was like, oh shit, yeah, they did. They did reuse it. Um, but like, yeah, fuck it, we ball. I mean, if you gotta reuse it, you gotta reuse it. You know, so, say la vie, shit. It's just it be that way sometimes. But also, it didn't detract from it at all. So yeah, those are my thoughts, my immediate thoughts there. I actually this is the one I had the least amount of notes on, because most of my
Yeah.
notes for the other one to like briefly go over hunger was, the fuck is happening? He's at a fucking restaurant. What the fuck? The fuck? Why is he hungry? Reminds me of Chainsaw Man. And like a lot of it is just me angrily, but no, this one was so peaceful, and I was very content with this one. Um, there was some slightly nightmaric imagery when it came down to like the eyes and stuff. But I think I kind of rocked with it.
Mhm.
But yeah, the voices are so calming. This is just about how fucked humanity is. Time Wheel is cool, and the music is hella, is what I've written down.
Yeah.
And
Dizzy
that's about
Gillespie
it.
also made the music.
It's dope. Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
all very calming and all melded together very well. I liked that it was just like a casual conversation between gods.
Mhm. Uh, you made a little bit of mistake in telling me that you like this because now I'm going to recommend you a lot of Hubley short films, and I'm going to expect you to watch them and love them. And I will
That's your first mistake, is expecting me to watch anything. That's what we did at the beginning of the podcast, and look where that fucking got us. All right.
I am going to send you more of their short films once we wrap up, and if you don't watch them, I will cry.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, I definitely get liking this movie. There is stuff to appreciate about it. It's just like it just didn't totally work for me. I still liked it in the end. It's just like it's still good enough where it's just like, yeah, this is good, but it's not totally uh something I will love, but it's still
Yeah.
good. Uh
Yeah.
and yeah, it's like it's just a very kind of simple, straightforward kind of thing where it's just like, yeah, humanity sucks, but maybe we can do better eventually, maybe not, who knows. Uh
Yeah.
And yeah, and like that was the whole point of the movie. It's just like looking to the future, like hoping that humanity, it's meant to be like telling humanity, it's like, hey, do fucking better or
Yes.
else. And it's just
Yeah.
like,
No. Absolutely. Again, kind of touching the premise that maybe we're too far gone was a little
yeah,
daunting,
yeah.
but good.
And is that all we have to say about it?
I
Uh,
really liked it. I don't have too many opinions. I don't know, I liked it. I liked it a
yeah,
lot. It was kind of chill. It was
I
vibey. Good vibes. Good vibes, terrible feelings.
good vibes. I'm feeling those good vibrations. All right.
Exactly.
I think that means we got to move on to our fifth and final nominee, which is Winnie
Some
the Pooh.
opinions. Have
Winnie
some
the
fucking
Pooh.
opinions.
Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2, directed by John Lounsbury. This is the 41st nomination for the Disney studio and the first and only nomination for Wolfgang Reitherman, one of the famous nine old men at Disney, who has now been upgraded from director to producer. He was the director of many previous nominees in this category, including The Truth About Mother Goose, Goliath II, Aquamania, and the previous Winnie the Pooh nominee, Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day, which also won the category. The director of the short, John Lounsbury, was another one of those 9 old men, and he went on to co-direct The Rescuers with Reitherman. However, he passed away during its production. Moving on to the short at hand, Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2, the second and final nomination for Winnie the Pooh and Friends, based on the third chapter of Winnie the Pooh and the fourth and seventh chapters of The House at Pooh Corner, both written by A.A. Milne. Starts with Tigger bouncing all over the place and ruining Rabbit's garden, making him determined to stop Tigger from bouncing. The plan is that Rabbit, Pooh, and Piglet will take Tigger to the middle of the woods and leave him there, a similar plot point to one in Disney's The Fox and the Hound. However, the three of them end up getting lost as well. In another story, as snow covers the 100-acre wood, Tigger and Roo go off bouncing together, only for them to bounce up a tree without being able to come down. Rory, what did you think of our final nominee?
Okay, so this one made me feel a lot of things. I felt a lot. So I grew up in Winnie the Pooh. I never really it was never really something I considered like a staple of my childhood. But I do have distinct memories of watching this when I was a kid. Not really processing the fuck was happening. I'm gonna start by just saying Rabbit is the fakest motherfucker in the world. I hate this bitch, and I wish he choked and died in that fucking 100-acre wood. They never found his body. He's the stupidest person. If I could fucking cook him, I would, but I wouldn't eat that motherfucker. I don't want that fucking poison inside of me. I despise Rabbit. I don't know if he's changed. I don't know if he's changed for the better in recent histories, but he is the worst person I've ever seen. What kind of person sees a little guy made out of rubber and spring, bouncing around, being happy? Maybe he's a little too rough, but goes, damn, I'm gonna abandon this fucker in the middle of the woods, traumatize him, and make him so sad he never wants to be happy again. What kind of person does that? Also, fuck Piglet. Piglet just went along with it. It was like, yeah, I'll do it. Pooh gets half points. Half points only because he was asleep when they agreed to it, and he didn't process it. He was like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. No, Piglet sucks. Rabbit sucks. Pooh also sucks a little bit in this story just because he ended up going along with it, too. In the end, he knew what he was doing. Like, he didn't agree to it initially, sure, but he's an enabler of Rabbit's fucking monstrosities. This horrible son of a bitch. I have never been so sad by the end of this film when the conclusion comes, and at first Tigger's like, well, I promised I would never bounce again. Like, that is the saddest I've ever felt. That was so genuinely really draining to watch. It was a little emotionally hurt. I was really I knew they weren't gonna keep him that way, but at the same time, I mean, dude, I love Tigger. Tigger's dope as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And they drain. Also, they said unbouncing Tigger, and that is the most charged statement that felt so aggressive for a kid's movie. That doesn't mean to unbounce a guy. God,
you gotta take
it made
the
me
bounce
mad. It made me so mad. This bitch just got a little bit of ADHD. All right. That's all Tigger is he's just a silly guy with a bit of ADHD, and fucking Rabbit over here. Mm-hmm. I felt bad for Tigger when he got stuck in the tree, though. And it was really cool to see the transitions between the scenes while they were hopping through the storybook. I liked that. And I really liked when the narrator was like, all right, enough of y'all's bullshit. I'm just going to tilt the book a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Something about the kind of fourth wall breaking was dope.
Yeah, that is my favorite part of the Winnie the Pooh stuff, is when they break the fourth wall and stuff, because it's so different and so interesting how they do it. It's always so fun when they directly interact with the narrator and stuff.
Yeah. I feel like I just kind of word vomited all my opinions right off the bat immediately instead of pacing it. But God, this one made me so mad. It was good. It's good. I liked it. I liked it a lot. But it made me so mad at Rabbit. Yeah. Rabbit is just the worst character to ever be conceived ever.
I don't think I'd go that far, but yeah, Rabbit's being a dick here. Jesus Christ.
There are dictators in the real life that I would prefer over Rabbit. He's horrible.
Okay.
Fake ass friend.
part of me wants to ask, like, oh, which dictators? But
Let's not.
I don't want you to cancel yourself on my podcast.
We get taken off there so quickly. that is a can of worms opening it up for me to have fun with that as a joke, and that's not something we want.
We'll just say
I mean,
number
we can
one.
start with like Mussolini, right? Like, I don't know.
We'll just say number one is Joseph Stalin and move on.
Yeah. I would have tea with Stalin before I fucking hang out with Rabbit.
No,
Fuck that bitch.
no,
I hate him.
no, it's Tea with Mussolini. That's the movie. Hey, moving on.
Is it a movie?
Yeah, there's a movie called Tea with Mussolini.
That's super funny because I did name Mussolini like 3 seconds before I had
Exactly.
the tea joke. I didn't even know that.
I feel like it must be somewhere in the back of your mind for that to come up right after you said Mussolini, because it's like in no world would you have said have tea with someone in any other scenario, because you don't fucking drink tea with people. You don't do tea
love
parties.
tea. I don't do tea parties, but I do love tea a lot. Actually, I'm a big tea guy.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I will. Maybe that's what I will Google. I Googled it. I've never seen this movie before in my life at all.
Might have been a book as well. I don't know, but I feel like in
Cher, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want to watch this movie now. But this is for later. This is for later.
Yeah. But yeah. Going back to Rabbit.
Going back. Fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch.
Yeah, it is like, and it's like while he was making the idea to like just abandon Tigger in the woods, it's just like I was thinking back to just like how the general plot point of like abandoning a child in the woods because you don't want it anymore. It's just like I think that was a plot point like the Steven Spielberg movie, and it's like, and then I remembered it was also in no, that's iRobot.
Yeah.
AI has like Jude Law
movie.
and Haley Joel Osment. Yeah, a lot of people love it. I don't. Anyway,
I've never seen it. I've seen iRobot though.
Okay. And then it's also a plot point in The Fox and the Hound, which was also made around this time. And it's just like, what was going on?
Fox and the Hound.
You have seen Fox and the Hound? Or you haven't?
I have not seen Fox and the Hound.
Damn. Okay, sorry for the spoilers then.
Unbelievable. Can't believe this.
But yeah, it was just like, was Disney just having this on its mind at the time? It's just like,
was AI a Disney movie?
No. I'm just saying Fox and the Hound because Fox and the Hound is Disney.
Yeah.
And looking it up, that was made in 1981, which is like 7 years after this one. But yeah, it's weird. Food for thought. And it's just like it's really fucked up that this movie is like going that dark where it's just like abandon your friend in the woods, hope he gets lost, and just it's like Rabbit doesn't want him to come back, but if he does come back, it's just like you'll have to bounce out of him at least. But then it's just like, and then of course what happens is that Tigger easily finds his way out of the woods, and it's like
Tiggers don't get lost.
Yeah, Tiggers don't get lost. Famous fact.
Dope as fuck.
And then like Pooh and Piglet find their way out, but Rabbit just ends up getting further lost, and it's like, oh, Tigger has to go save him, and Rabbit isn't even thankful. He's just like, oh god, I still have to deal with this fucking guy still. Oh.
And the thing is that even at the end of the movie, when Rabbit was like, fine, we can have the old Tigger, it wasn't because he genuinely felt bad for guys. It's because he was peer pressured by everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rabbit's a sociopath.
We need that video essay now. It's like Rabbit's a sociopath. That's
the
just
fucking film theorist. Exactly.
Film theory.
Dude,
and
no, fuck Mario's a maniac. Mario's fucking
Mario's already a sociopath.
I mean, yeah, we already seen that. We don't need that one again. We just need Rabbit. God, I hate that motherfucker. I don't know if he's gotten better in like recent writing, but like Jesus Christ. He's just been an asshole. I know that was always kind of his shtick was being an asshole. I know there's a great book called The Tao of Pooh, which like are you familiar with it?
No.
And it explains the concepts of Taoism through Winnie the Pooh. It's a very unique book. It's a very good book. One of my personal favorites. It's primarily the character Pooh and then the narrator talking to each other about the different things and kind of explaining it to Pooh. So you get a lot of like really, really tough concepts talked to Pooh, who's not going to understand them, so you got to explain them in certain ways. And it's a really interesting way of teaching Taoism. At the same time, you get to learn a lot about everyone else's characteristics. And Rabbit's just a fucking asshole. Even that one, you still understand that Rabbit's just a dick.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I don't know why they would include that in a children's thing. I know there's always like the age old theory that like, well, actually, Christopher Robin is just insanely mentally ill, and all the stuffed animals are just
God.
side effects of the whole thing. I mean, you got blah 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 blah. Like, I don't care. Give me. I want to see the rest of the 100 Acre Woods just fucking bully Rabbit for once.
God.
Like they're an intervention or something.
Uh, uh, so a couple of things. I did look up Winnie the Pooh film theory just to see if they made any videos on Winnie the Pooh, and they did make 2 videos on Winnie the Pooh. Neither of them about Rabbit. One of them is just like, oh, Winnie the Pooh should be dead because bears can't eat honey, even though the whole thing is that he's a stuffed animal, and this is all in a kid's
Yeah.
imagination. So who gives a shit? And then another one is I think it's about like, oh, the like Disney losing their copyright, right, and whatever. It's like how people are going to make like public domain films.
They already did, yeah.
Yeah,
They got
like
the blood and
it,
honey.
yeah, that's literally like the thumbnail of the video. It's like the poster for that. It's just like, oh, it's ruining their brand or whatever. Uh, but yeah, and it's just like all of this conversation about the short film just keeps reminding me of this one Winnie the Pooh film. I think it's called Springtime with Rue. And it's just like, and I
Mhm.
watched it because it's secretly an adaptation of A Christmas Carol. And as I've mentioned a few times on this podcast, I have seen many, many adaptations of A Christmas Carol, and I'm trying to watch as many as I can. And this is one of the 2 that are set at Easter. And it's like I
I think
watched
I've
it.
seen this before.
What?
I think I've seen this one before. I'm Googling it, but keep
Oh, okay.
talking.
So yeah, and it's just like I keep thinking back to that one. One because I first thought of it because of like it has some really interesting like fourth wall breaks where it's just like Tigger and Rabbit like they jump out of the book and like pull back the pages to go back in time to see Easter's past or whatever, and it's just like, and the whole plot of the film is that Rabbit has decided to cancel Easter this year. And it's just like, but everybody has so much fun at Easter with the Easter egg hunts and all that. And just like, and Rabbit used to be like the Easter bunny and stuff. It's just like, and they want to know why. And they try to figure out why Rabbit's being a dick about this again, because he's always being a dick about everything.
Oh God.
But this time it's like there's an actual reasoning. It's like, like Rabbit always put so much care into used to always put so much care into planning like the Easter parties, and yeah, he would be a little bit forceful into making everybody follow his own little plan. But then one year he sees everybody having fun without him. It's just like they have their own Easter party, even though he spent so much time planning this one for all of them, so that they all could have fun together. And it's like that was just so he just felt so betrayed after that. It's just like that he gave up on Easter forever, and he like didn't want to do Easter anymore. And it's like everybody had to come and convince him that like, no, Rabbit, please, we love your Easter. We just want you to, let us have a little bit of freedom and stuff, and we can have find a happy medium here. And it's just like that. That's one of the times where it's just like Rabbit actually, like in contrast to this, like Rabbit actually learns to be better rather than just having betterness thrust upon him.
Right.
Anyway, that's a good
Deeply.
movie.
Yeah, as long as he has some sort of character development, that's fine. I'm fine with him being a little bit of a dick, a lovable dick. But this one's just unforgivable. He
Yeah,
just was like, I'm gonna traumatize this guy because he's new in town, and it like the fuck, just the fuck.
I just realized that you've been DMing me pictures of like buff Tigger, grizzled Tigger in prison.
Dude, it goes so hard for no reason. I love these. This is a great one.
I'm gonna need to remember
Bro.
like when this video goes, when the tweet gets posted or whatever, to like post put some of these pictures you've been sending me in like the replies of the tweet, because you also sent me
Did you see
a
Buff Rabbit?
buff rabbit earlier. Her.
I googled rabbit first so I could post it on Twitter, and that was one of the things that came up like send.
uh
I couldn't download it from Google. I had to go onto the website though, and I saw some horrible things on that website. But we're not going to talk about that.
it's probably like for affinity or something like that.
That's the
Anyway,
exact website. How the fuck did you do you how the fuck did you know that?
it's just what people know on the internet. It's just like that's the porn site for furries. Like I don't use
I
it,
didn't know that.
but I just know of it.
I didn't.
I know a
Hold
lot
on.
of
I'm going to
things.
ask the group chat. I'm going to ask the group chat. I don't
No.
believe you.
Okay.
Guys, can you
Oh my god, I was seeing these notifications live. Anyway, I'm gonna just keep talking about the show. I just know things.
This is concerning.
Anyway, going back to this film, yeah, Rabbit is always been like kind of a dick. Hey, but this one does go a bit too far. And it's just like
he was just trying to traumatize him. I was like, Jesus.
but yeah, I feel like there's not much else that we can really say about this. I feel like we've gone through it all. I guess there's the
Yeah, I
part
liked
where
it. That's good.
we haven't actually talked about Winnie the Pooh that much. Like you said he's complicit, even though I think he's kind of too dumb to really realize the harshness of the situation he's found himself in. Like Piglet definitely, like he is unusually a duck, unusually a dick in this one, considering that
Yeah.
he knowingly goes along with this plan to abandon Tigger in the woods. He doesn't really have much reservations about it. But Pooh, he's just like, huh, what? Okay, I guess we're going to the woods now. It's just like
Yeah. I feel like Pooh, I don't think Pooh's dumb. Pooh Bear is, while not the wisest, maybe, he's definitely not dumb. I feel like he's vaguely complicit. Not as much as the rest. I'll give you that. Pooh Bear is not as complicit as the rest. But still was a little bit, end of the day. And again, it was, I don't know, it was weirdly dark premise. But we ball, I guess.
yeah. But yeah, I guess that's it. I guess we don't have much else to say about this. It's just
Yeah, let me check my notes real quick.
and also this is like the thing where it's just like this is going to be the film that like our listeners will have, the few listeners we have are going to like know what this film is. They're going to know like, oh yeah, they go into the woods and whatever, and then oh yeah, and then there's the point where they're up in the tree, and then oh, and Piglet and Pooh follow the footsteps around and around. Like I remember this from my childhood, and then it's just
Yeah.
like so we don't really need to spend too much time like talking in depth about the plot or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah, I got some good notes here though. I got like I like this one. In real time, you see me realize some things. Hope these motherfuckers like die in the forest. Pooh, cool like though, I guess. Actually, nah, not really. He knows the plan now, but like, then we got also seeing Tigger robbed of his life purpose, and the thing that makes him the happiest is literally the saddest fucking thing in the world. I fucking hate rabbits so much. Jesus Christ. I want him fucking spit roasted and eaten alive. Is a note that I put down. So I do think we covered that already though. So
Yeah. And it's just like the most wonderful thing about Tiggers is that Tiggers are wonderful things. And their tops are made of rubber and their bottoms are made out of the springs. It's bouncy, trouncy, flouncy, founcy, fun, 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 fun. And the most wonderful thing about Tiggers, I think, is that he's the only one. It's just like, yeah, that's all I have to
Exactly.
say.
No one can say it better. No one can say it better. That's exactly how I feel.
Like I just came up with that. Like that's just my opinion.
It's
And if you
completely original thought.
And if anybody else says that, I'm going to sue them for intellectual property theft.
Exactly. Get it.
Anyway, I feel like we're done with that discussion, and that's it for our nominees. And now that we've talked about the 5 nominees, we will rank them all Rory, start us off with your number 5.
All right. So number 5, I'm gonna have to say the family that dwelt apart. All
Ooh,
right.
I didn't
It
expect
it
that.
was yeah, it was fine. I didn't like it felt pointless in the end. I didn't like the dry, well, everyone died at the ending. Like it's like, okay, that's fine, I guess. Um it's whatever.
All right. My number 5 is Closed Mondays, where it's just like, as I
Ooh,
said, Ed, it's just like I like the animation, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of too. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't build up to anything. It's just a series of weird things animated, and it's just like, well, that's weird. What's this weird thing gonna be? And it's just like I need more, but it's still interesting. Number 4.
exactly, yeah. I'd say number 4, I'm gonna put see, this is a tough one. I'm gonna have to say I want to say it. Now I'm rethinking it. I was pretty confident in this, but upon thinking, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say Closed Mondays.
Okay.
It's really close with my number 3 spot. I liked what it did visually a lot, but in the end, it did feel still a little bit pointless. And I do like having at least a vague message with my art. And I'm sure Closed Monday has a message there. Um, but not one that felt important enough.
I feel like its message is art sucks.
Which is ironic being told in an art form.
Yeah. And no, it's just a joke. I don't think it takes that, but still. My number 4 is Voyage to Next. Like I
Ugh,
said, I'm
bad take.
sorry.
Bad take.
Uh, it pains me to say it. Like I wish I loved this, but I just didn't. And and also I liked it more than the first time I'd seen it. Also, is a thing.
Ugh.
Like, it's just like I just wish I liked this more. I wish I liked Moonbird more. I wish I liked a lot of their films more. But I still love a lot of their films. It's just these a few ones just don't do as much for me as I want them to.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
that's just how it is. It's just how it goes sometimes. You can't like everything.
Yeah, yeah.
What's your number 3, Rory?
My number 3, I'm gonna put as Hunger. All right.
Ooh.
Hunger, again, I like it, definitely had more of a message. It was very interpretive. I did not like the visuals at all. I felt that a lot of it was just too weird, which is not a good take. I know it's a horrible take, but
Especially
I
from
felt
you.
okay, now listen here, you fucking asshole. All right, but no, like it's I get it's absurdist. It's kind of meant to be. It's meant to be that way, and that's fine. I'm sure it's someone's cup of tea. I liked the message more than I liked the presentation for it.
Mhm,
Presentation, in its benefit, did keep me a little bit more hooked in a lot of what the fuck is happening.
mhm. All right. My number 3 is The Family That Dwelt Apart. Uh, like I was saying before, I enjoy the animation. I enjoy the story it's telling, but at the end of the day, it's just not as funny as I think I would have wanted it to be, or as funny as it wanted to be, for me at least. It's just, but it's still a good time. I enjoy the animation. It's very much the middle of this list, and it's just like it's not the best of it. It's not the worst. It's just right there, sitting at number 3. Like, yeah,
Mhm,
it's good.
mhm.
I liked it.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Voyage Next. Um, Voyage to Next is, I think, again, like I kind of cast it before, but it's such peaceful commentary on the fate of humanity, and I think those intertwine so interestingly. And again, the music and the audio trip it takes you through is so great. It's very nice. It's very nice.
All right. My number 2 is Winnie the Pooh and Tigger
And
2.
Upset. No.
Hey, it's really good. I really liked it. It's a lot of fun. Uh, Rabbit's a bit of a dick. It's kind of brings down a little bit. But still, it's just Winnie the Pooh. It's pleasant. It's enjoyable. I like it. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's Winnie the Pooh. What else is there to tell? What is there to say? And your number one, Rory.
Winnie the Pooh would be my number one. I think this is it, it made me feel the most emotion, again, mixed with angry and the need for vengeance and usurpance. Um, the commentary on the status quo of the 100 Acre Wood, and then tying it together with the utter sinking despair of seeing Tigger unhappy and stolen of his life purpose. And the all that friendship beats everything, and that they realize that it didn't matter how he expressed his happiness as long as that he was happy. That's beautiful. Oh, mwah. 10 out of 10. Cinema.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. And my number one is Hunger. Uh, yeah. Wait, when you said like, I'm sure this is someone's cup of tea out there. Yeah, that's me. It's my cup of tea. Uh, I love how
Yeah.
fucking weird this is. Uh, it's just so fucking. It's just so fucking weird, man. He turned into a fucking car. All right, and also like, sure, yeah, the messaging, like it's like fuck capitalism, am I right? But also, I just and it's like it's so cool. I'm being hosting this podcast. Of course, I'm a fan of animation history, and so just seeing like the onset of like computer animated films is just like wow, this is where we've come from, and it's just like in such an early period, in such early time with the medium. It's just like you this is what I love about artists is that they can take something that they barely had any experience with. I guess this was probably like 4 years after Folds started experimenting with the computer thing. Uh, but you just take this new fucking technology and like, yeah, I'm gonna get fucking weird with it. And it's just like that is so beautiful to me. And it's just like it's so much fun. And I went and tried to watch Peter Folt's other experimentations with the computer technology. I could only find one of them, his first film Metadata, which has no story at all. It's just like different images morphing to other ones. But even then, that one is still just so beautiful to me. Just watching, he like rotates the things a lot. It's just like that. It's so fun. He's clear like he's just kind of playing around with this technology, and it's like that's fun to me. And this one is just like yeah, this is fucking cool, man. I really liked it. Hunger, best movie, should have won, and I know what I didn't because the Academy is cowards, but. Hunger is really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Sure.
I'm not sure if I expected us to be as different as we were with this. Like I didn't think you would have liked Voyage next. I thought you were going to say it was very boring. I thought you were going to hate it more than or you're going to hate it.
No, I don't mind boring. Sometimes I just need to like peace out, and I'm in that like the voices were so calming. Like I was in such a good mood watching that. I was like, yeah, yeah, tell me how about my entire race is fucked. Yeah, go
Hmm.
for it. I was like, man, that's
Yeah.
good. Some good
Yeah.
shit right there.
Yeah, now that you've talked about it, I understand now like how this fits into like who you are, but like
What
no, no,
does that
I
mean?
didn't mean anything
Hold
by
on.
I didn't mean anything bad about that. I just meant like yeah, now it makes sense that Rory likes this because you know you're a chill guy. You're chill. You enjoy
At the end
being
of the day, I'm
calm.
silly funny, but I'm also chill and relax.
Like you're
Tell no
kind of
one otherwise.
chaotic, but it's also like you also
I don't know what
enjoy
you're talking about.
being calm a bit.
I don't know what you're talking about. I am the most normal person you'll ever meet.
Uh, says the person who's been sending me Tigger pics.
I mean, I can send you some other pics if you want.
Oh,
Oh,
I'll send them my way then. Let's see what
hey, yo, let's go.
I'm
I got
calling
you. I
your
got
bluff.
you.
Send them
I
my way.
got you. I got you. Got you. Let's see what else we got.
Uh,
There you go.
but while you do that, before
I
we end
sent you
the
some other
show,
pics.
are there any final thoughts you'd like to share, Rory, or anything you'd like to promote?
I've learned more about movies on this podcast than I have in the past like 5 years.
Oh,
Let's pray I retain this information. But I am a firm believer in the 2 movies a year subcategory of film. God love it. That's where my home is.
just staring at the pics you sent me. Uh, but I'm glad this is the reason I invited you on this podcast. This is the reason I do the podcast. It's to educate people about this history. I realized the best way to talk about what my goal of this podcast is that I I view myself as a tour guide and with film, with short films. Just like I bring different people to different sites in film history, and be like, "Hey, this is why this is important," and also, "Isn't this kind of cool?" And it's like, look at this fucking thing. You like this?" And then you tell me what you think about it. It's like, yeah, yeah. And it's like, sure, you don't have to like it, but at the end of the day, I hope you're still glad that you were educated a little bit. And from
Yeah,
what you've said, you are. And so my job here is done. I have completed my purpose. I can die now. Thank you. And, and so thank you, Rory, for coming on the show.
of course. Thank you for having me.
And then thank you, listener, for tuning in. This has been the short podcast about short films. Until next time, goodbye.